We impact,
We tell stories.
we elevate.
We encourage.
Faith-based content, uplifting
Uplifting
content.
content.
Join Matsie as she sits down with amazing guests.
Doing amazing work in the world.
Welcome to Conversations with Matsie.
Channel. My name is Matsie Wagatsutetsi. If you are a new subscriber, welcome. If you're an old, please comment on the video below. Tell us what you think. Today I'm not alone. I am with our first guest for the year, and he is a family member. He is my favorite uncle, one of my favorite uncles, so that I don't get in trouble. His name is Ntate Jerry Molefe. Welcome.
Thank you, Matsia.
Thank you for coming and honoring this channel. So, how are you?
I'm very well. And you?
I'm good, not nervous.
Nah, I'm fine.
I know you're finicky about, looking a certain way and making sure that you give us the right information. So relax, you and I are just having a chat.
Perfect.
So the reason I called you to our channel, is about just impacting people and telling life stories that we think will elevate and encourage people.
Right.
So I thought you'll be one of the perfect people to do that with, because I know that you are very wise and you are passionate about the work that you do. And those that don't know, he is an HR guru. And seeing that we are starting the year, it's fairly, the beginning of the year, even though we are in Feb. I know that there are a lot of young people that are looking for a job, that are, we are doing our visions and goals for the year, and we want to know where you are going, which there are those that just finished university, applying for jobs. And I thought, why not bring you here so that you can just, be some sort of guidance and give people information that they might need in terms of following the career journey that they want.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, and thanks for the opportunity, and I hope that the viewers will find value in what you're going to share with them today. Yeah, but yes, I've been in the HR space for almost 40 years.
Sure.
I started at a young age. Prior to going to work, I knew I wanted to be in HR. There was somebody who was a role model when I was a youngster in our area, and he was doing well, and I think that's where the influence came from. So I knew exactly at matric level that I wanted to go into HR. As luck would have it.
Yeah.
My first job was
in
wage
HR.
clerk in the HR department. Yes.
Sure.
And the rest is history. And I'm still enjoying it. Not for once have I thought of leaving. I wanted to explore other avenues in terms of the business environment, but I've always been attracted back into the HR space as a generalist, and then I would go and specialize, and I'd go back into a generalist role, and that's what I've done. I've worked in a number of industries, different industries. I started with passenger transport. I worked for motor industry. I worked at Nissan South Africa. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the companies.
No, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I then I was in manufacturing, heavy industrial, mining. I worked for companies like Everest Health Steel.
Yeah.
They had a steel manufacturing and a mining, open cast mining. And I spent most of my career in one company, which was the company that I spent more than any other was Woolworths. And I found that very fascinating. So it was more than 10 years because I would do HR work, but then the environment would allow me to do operational stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you'd learn a bit of operations from that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, but in terms of the HR work, as I was enjoying the life in HR, I studied HR. I never went to university.
Before you go there, I want
Yes.
us to go back to, because you mentioned something very important where you grew up. Because I mean, I know you come from a small town.
Yes.
Okay, for those that don't know,
Yeah.
where do you come from?
I grew up at Mabopane.
Mm.
I'm sure you know most of your viewers will know where
Mabopane is in Pretoria, guys. If you
Mabopane
have
is in
been,
Pretoria.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. That's where I studied. I went to school at Nakamase, and then I went to Hebron. It was still Hebron training, Hebron college. I'm giving away my age, but I've already mentioned that I've been in HR for more than 40 years.
Yeah, so
clearly, yeah. So I was at Hebron, and needless to say, by the way, and maybe we'll touch on it, I'm still in contact with about 20 odd people that we did metric with. We've got a project that we proud back in that community, and that's something that I would encourage people.
What project is that?
In early 2004, 2005, I met one or two people that we went to metric together, and then we had a conversation, and then we started asking about other people, and then I had an idea, and I started a project where we felt as a group that maybe because we were all advanced and we were all settled, all our careers were taking on, that maybe we need to go back. Hebron is a very poor area in general. It is sort of classified as one of the poorest communities. To say let's go back to where we studied, where we got our foundation, and then we started project with assisting students, grade 11s and 12 with maths and science.
Oh, so are
extra lessons and so on. So then we formalized it. We opened a trust. A law firm assisted us, and then we started looking for sponsorships with computers, with money, with stationery, and currently for the past 5 years on Mandela Day we've been buying shoes for primary school children in the adjacent primary school, which was, by the way, the boys' hostel, which has now turned into a primary school. So there's very, very attachment to the school. So that's something that we're doing, yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to know, because you are from Mabopane, and there's probably somebody out there that comes from a small town or a rural area, and you mentioned, I think, one of the key factors is that you had a role model that was in the HR industry, you know. So I would want to know, what do you think what is the important factor attached to having a role model? Why do you think it's important to have a role model as a young person that is not really exposed to information? Because I know back then there were no career exhibitions that would come to your schools, or career day where different universities would come and give you information on different career platforms that you can explore. So with you, why do you think it's important to have a role model?
A role model is somebody that you aspire to, and they don't appoint you, you appoint them. You look at somebody who's within the community, who you respect, who you regard highly, and you look at what they're doing and how they progress, and how, depending on what is your measure of success. For some, driving a big car is a measure of success. That's not. So you look at that, and then you look at what are these people, and then you start to get close to them. You find a way of getting close to them. You talk to them. You listen to them, and I promise you, they will guide you. But it doesn't only go with a role model. You also need a mentor, and you need a coach in life. And I'll tell you why. When you're still an infant and you learn to crawl and you learn to walk, and every step of the way, you're going to find somebody who holds your hand. Now, at the age of 2021, you think you've got it, and you don't need those people. Trust me, you are going to go into a company, you will be the first in that company. You don't know what to do. You're going to go into a boardroom, you'll be the first in that boardroom meeting. You don't know what to do, what to expect. So every step of the way, as you progress and you get promotions, it's going to be the first. You move from primary school to high school is the first. You move from high school to
True.
varsity is the first. You move.
Mm.
So you need that until. And then that is why at some stage you realize as you go through that you need to mentor others. Because it's key and it's critical.
Giving back because you also have people that
no
believe
you
you.
can do on your own.
Yeah.
So you need a role model. A role model is not, you can have more than one role model. You can have one or multiple mentors. Mentors you appoint, you formalize. Some of them is informal. There's people who've contacted me and asked me if I could guide them on something, and we end up with being, a mentorship relationship.
Yeah.
But having said that, you need to also ensure that the person who mentors you, they've gone through the mentorship program themselves. They need to know what mentoring is all about. They know how to mentor. They know that it's not about them and them and their career and their ego and how to, everything is about the person that they're mentoring and they're helping. You can only share the experience, but it's about the person you're helping.
Yeah. So did you have a mentor? Because now there's a role model, then there's a mentor.
Yeah.
So have you ever had a mentor?
Yes.
And how was that relationship between you and a mentor, mentee and a mentor? Because you just highlighted an important thing that it has to be about the mentee, not the mentor.
Yes.
So have you ever had one?
I've had one. I've had more than one actually.
Yeah.
Because look, we live in a society where there's diversity.
Yeah.
So I had a very powerful HR director who was a woman, and I had to learn from her, especially that I was operating in an environment where there was predominantly women.
Yeah.
And you go into the world of employment, the world of work, and we come from a history where it was white male dominated. So I had more than one or two white males because I need to understand what is the thinking. How do I go about the thinking and so on and so forth. And then you need your own, and so you need the diversity of thoughts. And therefore when you choose a mentor, you need somebody who can challenge you, you need somebody who can shift your mindset, you need somebody who's got a different culture, so that you round it off. You understand why are certain groups of people or nationalities or races doing things differently. Once you've got that, then you're set up for success in terms of the outlook of the world.
Yeah. And what would you say, transitioning from being a mentee to a mentor, what would you say, what is it that you wouldn't do that your mentor was doing?
The mentee needs to drive the mentorship relationship. Okay? So if it doesn't work anymore, it will fizzle out. Remember, there's a contract, but it's a social contract between you and I. And if you believe that things don't work out, that's fine. Besides that, I may be mentoring you for a certain period, to transition, for instance, from senior management into directorship. Once you're director and you're comfortable, there's no need for me to be there. You need something else.
They don't serve you anymore.
So the transition will happen naturally. But the most important thing is for the mentee to have the right attitude, the right drive, and to be able to accept a feedback, no matter what type of feedback, and to manage their sensitivities. Because you need a mentor because you need feedback. Half the time, people don't succeed because we don't tell them the truth. We don't give them honest feedback. And we say the truth hurts. But the truth hurts, yes.
But it grows you.
It grows you. I've been in situations where I was given feedback and I would sit, believe it or not, I would cry. And I would think I will never make it. And then sometimes you get feedback, let's say you are an introverted person and you've been told that you're introverted, this is how you need to, and then you overcompensate. And then you move from one end of the continuum to the next. So there's always something that you have to watch and to look at. But mentor-mentee mentorship, mentee relationship is a very good. I'm still talking to some of the people that mentored me who are retired and so on and so forth. And there are some people who helped me and made a difference in my life. And that's what we need to do, more especially with the youngsters, more especially with the challenges that we have at this day and age.
And I think I like the fact that you were saying you have to be mentored to be a mentor, because many of us think that because you are exposed to a certain industry or to knowledge that you've acquired from somewhere, then that qualifies you to be a mentor.
Yeah, mentorship is more about wisdom.
Mm.
It's not about you can have the best technical engineer or or have the technical knowledge of some aspects, but very, very terrible with people. We know we still have Steve Jobs. In his
Yeah.
book himself, he said that his people skills were not where they should be, but we know what his differences made in the world. I'm giving an extreme example. But yes, you need a balance. You need somebody who knows what he's talking about in terms of, you need somebody who's passionate about what they're doing. And you need somebody who's passionate about developing others as well. So, I get joy from seeing people succeed, and they call me and they say, I'm at point A, B, and C, and you contribute. You don't expect anything from the people that you assist, by the way, but they always come back.
And it's not about your ego.
And it's
as
not
well.
about you, it's
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah.
It's about seeing others succeed, yes.
So what is the difference between a mentor and a life coach?
A life coach, a mentor is somebody that you appoint, and you can look at it from different angles, but in the main, it's somebody that will assist you to go through a certain period, a certain process, a certain aspect of your life, a certain stage of your life. Let's take, for instance, a person who has never been a director in an organization. They need somebody to mentorship, to take them through the early stages of being a director. That's a mentor, right? A life coach is somebody that coaches you, somebody that you're a youngster, you're 17-year-old, and they see potential in you in terms of sports and so on and so forth. They coach you and they take you by the hand, and they will grill you, and they walk with you, and they coach you. And it's not only about sport, it can be about any aspect of life, but it's more at a personal level, at a formal level. It's informal, it's formal, it's personal, they are your go-to person, a shoulder to cry on. There are some things, there are rules, and there are limitations when it comes to mentorship. With a life coach, you can talk about with your life coach, family life, for instance, the experiences that you have in your family, the frustrations that you have in your family. It's more personal. Whereas with a mentor, it may be more formal. It can go into personal space, but it's limited. Yes.
So I would say maybe essentially mentorship is about career.
It's more about career.
And it's career focused.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a life coach is more about life in general.
Yeah.
Yes. And including and going beyond just the world of work. Yes.
So going back to the HR space, because some of us are working, some of us are not working. Those that are working, we are forever looking for something better, But I want us to touch on, before we go to looking for a job or being in an actual job, I want us to touch on being an HR personnel. Do you think as an HR person you need to have people skills? Or it's just a technical job of knowing the policies, knowing disciplinary whatever that you do in your HR field? Is it attached to personality? Is it attached to your character, that you've got interpersonal skills, you are passionate about personal development of people? Or is it only, like I said, about just going to school and studying HR and knowing the policies, knowing the HR policies from the organization that you'll be working for, a company that you'll be working for?
It's a little bit of both. And you can do engineering work, or you can do law but hate the field. You can be the best engineer or you can be the worst engineer. So it goes with passion. It goes with the objectives, what you want to achieve. Having said that, HR, when I say to people I'm in HR, they say, "Oh, aren't you hiring?"
Yes, that's
also you're firing, you hire.
You hire, you fire.
Students ask me, but how do you feel when you have to fire somebody? I say, we don't fire people. So
what do you mean you don't fire people?
In HR, no, HR's role is not to fire people or to hire people. The business needs people, and HR finds people for the business.
Okay.
The business, the people, in most cases, when they want to leave, they resign. When they get fired, is they've done something that the business do not appreciate. So HR facilitates the process. It's not HR deciding to fire. In fact, most of the time when you get fired, it's your own doing. But of course, we do know that there has been
unfair dismissals.
Yeah. But having said that, in the HR space, you do have people who are doing administration. They do the wages, they will do the personal records. Some of them are, they're good in systems, and there will be your performance management on the systems. Then it will be systems. So they are in the background. They don't interface with people on a daily basis. And then you do have people who are trainers and training practitioners in the HR space. People development. You have to be passionate about it. You have to know what you're doing. It's all about employee engagement as well. You need to be able to engage with people and to guide people, persuade them, guide them. HR is a key role within any business. In terms of the strategy, because you've got, without people, a company is nothing. And people would influence the culture of the organization. The leadership would influence the culture, and the people would operate within the culture. So there's people engagement. You're talking about people's lives. You're talking about the responsibilities of the organization, the strategic objectives that they need to achieve through the people, and so on. So it's far much more complex and far much more fulfilling than it looks, than people think. It's about firing people, hiring people. So you have, but key to that is that you need to have brilliant interpersonal people. If you're a moody person, if you can't stand people, if you are rigid, if you can't understand the world from somebody's perspective, and so on and so forth, you're going to battle a bit in the HR space. Some people actually say that when you're in HR, you need to have a thick skin. I mean, you know how difficult people are in any environment, even in church. You have politics, you have people issues. And I'm thinking, even if you are not in HR, for the fact that you've got people reporting under you, you need to possess those interpersonal skills. You need to have those skills. You need to understand. You need to have those skills. It doesn't mean, as an HR person, if you're talking about people reporting to you, you are a line manager. Right? So in this instance, you have the responsibility to employ, to develop, to grow the people that you work with, but you have to also maintain discipline. Yeah. So you have to be able to operate at all levels. Yes. So as an HR person, do you think you also need to have, I don't know, a gift of just seeing that this person is a misfit to the organization, like reading beyond the CV? Because I feel like sometimes people will give you just the perfect CV, and you look through the CV, as long as they qualify and they perform well in an interview, then they are okay, they can be employed. But do you think you need to be able to see beyond that? Absolutely. You need to see beyond that. When we employ people, we look at what function are they going to do. We look at the job profile, the job description. We look at the minimum requirements for them. We match the applications to the requirements. Once you meet the minimum requirements, then you invited to interviews. We take it further. We interview you, but with experience, as you go, you would know, and you can. you know about a gut feel.
Yeah.
There are times when you have a gut feel. This person seems to be right in all respect, but something just
They
doesn't
look
sit
too
well.
perfect.
Just doesn't sit well with
Yeah.
this person. Then you don't just disregard or reject the application based on your gut feel. Your gut feel will tell you to go and dig more on or to, because you can get it wrong. But half the time, more especially with experience, your gut feel will tell you that this is the right person, this is the right fit for your organization. Half the time, people qualify in terms of what is required, but we hone in more onto the person fit. You know, the personality. Will this person fit this culture? You can have 3 applicants who've got the same qualification, the same passion, the same experience, the same, and they fit, but you look at who's more suitable to this environment and the culture. You might find that in the 3, if you've got, let's say you've got 2 finalists in the terms of the interview, the one person might not be suitable for this environment, but they can be suitable for environment B.
Yeah.
And flourish.
Yeah.
I mean, the culture at Vodacom and the culture at Mnet, what do you call it? Mnet.
Won't be the same.
Yeah, for instance. Yeah. So it can be the same industry. We had Nissan and BMW when I worked there. 2 different cultures. Both companies are across the road. One is across the road from the other. They draw in the labor from the same community, Karankua, Magopan, Pretoria area. Okay? But Nissan has a different culture from BMW culture. That's what I mean about the fit. So not everyone who would be suitable for a BM environment would necessarily be suitable for Nissan environment.
Even if you can have the same qualifications.
Even if you can have the same experience and same qualifications, yes.
So what would you say would make a young person that is looking for a job now employable?
The situation is completely different from when you started. One of the things that you need to do as a leader and as an HR person is to be able to adapt and to catch up with the pace of change in social life and in the world of work. And now we used to get into a job and that's it. You get hired and then you swim, you get given instructions left, right, and center. There were no rights, there were no CCNAs, there were no.
Really?
No. You would just be fired and that's it, you know.
Sure.
So tough times, yeah. But things change. Now, the current environment that we live in, more especially in South Africa, unemployment is at around 40%.
Yeah.
Now, there's lots of graduates
that are not employed. Yeah.
Now, what happens is, and there are different views and different approaches, and my approach is not the only approach.
Yeah.
Some people will agree with me, some people might not agree with me. You are a young graduate, you've qualified in finance, and you believe you're going to be a finance manager. In your mind, you know that finance managers are earning a certain amount, and that's your standard. Then you start looking for a job as a finance manager with your finance qualifications or degrees, and you don't find it. A youngster who's got the same qualifications might look and say, let me lower my standards and let me apply for a clerical job in finance. And once I'm in the organization, I'm gaining experience, I'm gaining exposure, and that's going to help me. It's better than sitting at home. So you are making yourself employable. Yeah. I'm not saying the work environment should abuse graduates, and graduates should be protected from being abused. But there are laws that protects people out there as well in the work of environment. What people don't know, for instance, is they would say, I'm looking for, a salary X. Yeah. Okay. Or they would come and say, but how do I determine how much I should be earning? Now, if you go to any organization, you'll find that they do have what they call organization development, and it includes remuneration and benefits. with remuneration and benefits in that space, you do have what we call job evaluation. You know that a certain job is graded at a certain grade.
Yeah.
There are different grading systems. I don't want to go into technical aspects of that.
Yeah.
But then we know that a person who starts at this level with these qualifications will earn between this and that. Yes. So organizations will guide you as well. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you said, okay, I'm going to accept 10,000 rand, and then you get a job and they ask you how much you're going to earn, and you say 10,000 that they will pay. They might pay you 15, 20, 25. It depends on where you're placed and so on and so forth. Yeah. But also you need to look at the youngsters. Some people get into entry-level jobs. You find the youngsters complain and say, I'm staying so many kilometers away from the world of work. I'm a sales assistant in a retail environment. All the earnings that I'm having, are going to transport. And, I can't do anything else, or transport and rental, and that's it. But then you have to decide, do I pay for what I can pay? If I can pay for my accommodation and for transport and a little bit that is left, and persevere for the next 2 years, because it's not only about the salary anymore, it's also about gaining the experience, which is far more much valuable than anything. That 2 years of experience is going to count for the rest of your career. So sometimes you look at things like that and say, the next 2 years I'm not going to make a living, but I'm building. So you're taking that entry level position as something, a stepping stone. You're building your CV, you're building your own experience, and so on and so forth. Yes. But there are those who, of course, will be fortunate. They will finish at varsity, they will finish matric, they will finish whatever diploma. They go to the world of environment, they strike a job. Luck has a lot to do with that as well. And they are happy.
And there are many, unfortunately, that, with you it's different. You've been in HR space since you started working.
Yes.
But there are those that you studied finance, but you never get a job in finance.
Yes.
So what would you say? Should they compromise and just, gain experience? Because sometimes you just need to gain experience and not necessarily attached to what you studied at school, but the work ethic, discipline of being an employee. So do you think that as an HR person, when I apply for a job, but I haven't been doing, or I haven't been working in spaces that are, in line with what I've studied, do you think that counts? Or you see as, no, these ones, they don't have the specific experience that we need?
Qualifications, in most cases, in technical fields, it works, it helps you because this is your passion, this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
The other way of looking at qualifications when we're in the world of work is that a person who's got a degree, it gives us a sense of their trainability.
Okay.
Can they learn?
Yeah.
If you've got an engineering degree and there are no engineering jobs, which is a ridiculous example, but that says that you are trainable. You can go into other related fields within that space. I've got an engineer, by the way, and who's got a master's in engineering and who's got more than 30 years of experience in civil engineering. That person is a senior partner in remuneration strategist. Okay.
Yeah.
We've got in the world of work, we've got lawyers who are not practicing law, but who are in strategy, who are CEOs of other organizations. Let's look at it from this perspective, and your viewers will. We've got people working for many organizations that are doing different things. None of us were taught at school how to manufacture those things. We were just taught the principles of manufacturing processes, safety, health, and but because we have learned and we've got a qualification that shows and proves that we are able to learn, we can go into any environment. Yes. Sometimes you do have people who are in one direction and they change and they go into another direction. But because they've got that training, they were able to qualify at that level. It gives us the certain level of trainability that they have. Yes, it's all about that. So qualification is not necessarily that if you studied HR, you're stuck in HR. We've got CEOs who studied HR, never been engineers, never been people who've never been lawyers. Of course, you do have specialist functions. If you're a chartered accountant, you're a chartered accountant, and if you're an auditor, you're an auditor.
Yeah.
You know, yes. But you do have people who go across industries, and they go across the areas of learning and qualification. So you need to be broad-minded. There are three things that helps in terms of success in the workplace. Attitude is number one.
Yeah.
When you've got the right attitude, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing is education. Education says you are able, you have learned, you've studied up to a certain point. We sometimes use exceptional examples, people who are exceptional, where we say that Bill Gates never went to university, and Bill Gates, yes, it's Bill Gates, but can you count 1 million Bill Gates? No, it's only going to be one exception. You know, you do have people who don't have any qualification, but they're making. Of course, it doesn't mean if you don't have. We do have people who've got education who are not making it because they can have multiple degrees, but their attitudes, nobody wants to work with them.
Yeah.
They just not for the world of work. They need to just manufacture something and try to find something else to do. So there are many factors, but in the main, yes, you will have people who learn a certain skill, who stay within the field and who's got passionate about it. And the more skillful you are in an environment, the better if you're enjoying it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But would you say this, because I know with me, I studied psychology, right?
Yes.
But I think what you, in essence, what you're saying is exposure is the best teacher of where you need to go.
Absolutely.
So with me, I've studied psychology, and now I'm in crossroads of, do I finish and do my master's, or do I pursue this other part that I think I've grown to love more than what I thought I want to do, or do I do them both? So my question is, do you think there's anything wrong with studying up until my level or even masters, but when you grow, and because like you're saying, a lot of people might be qualified for a certain field, but they end up in a different field, and I go into that different field, and then I find that I actually love this field more than what I've studied.
Yes.
So is it fine to now just switch it up and go to that different field that I think I'm now growing fond of, or I'm interested in it more than what I've studied?
Yes, absolutely. And there are people who have done that. They switched careers along the way. I mean, we've got people who worked in a field for 15, 20 years, and then they realize at some stage, but
This is not
for me. And then they change. What I would advise, though, is that there are times when we are situations force us to do things we don't like. There's always people telling youngsters to say, you must find and do something that you like and enjoy. They wouldn't know what is out there, to be able to make the choice. You have to be there as you in that environment. Then you start to learn better. Then you can make that informed decision. What I advise people, though, is that if you're studying and you are let's say you've got 60% of a qualification, it's pointless to leave it. Even if you don't enjoy it, I would suggest that you. My advice would be to complete it, because you've gone the long way. Once you've completed it, you can always switch. You can always do. You can always study something else.
But the time to complete, Malume, to complete that thing, instead of using that time to do something that you enjoy.
All right, let's see. If your passion says to me, this is it, I don't want to do it, there's no harm in leaving it. But half the time people regret why they didn't complete, because you don't know what will happen. If you're a 20-year-old, what is the longest a course can take, a degree can take?
4 years.
4 years,
Yeah.
right? Now, if you're 50, 60% into that, how long would that be? You would have completed 2.5, 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So surely you can finish off in the next 12 months. It's not like it's your lifetime, all right?
You
That's
die. You can die tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But it depends on where you're passionate. If you hate it that much, then there's no harm in changing. But don't find yourself in a situation where you want to be a dentist and you go to university, you study, and then halfway through you want to specialize in something.
No, absolutely
After
not.
3 years, and then
change,
after 12 years of studies, you've got nothing. That's what I'm trying to say. There are people who studied philosophy. I mean, we've got people in HR, those who come from who are my age and come from the world that I come from. People came to HR with social sciences because there was no HR qualification. They came to HR with anthropology degrees. They came with BA degrees, and that was then. Now we're in the 21st century, and we've got HR qualifications at the highest level as well. So the fact that they did anthropology and they finished it meant that they are trainable and they were able of social work and they could do that.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily, they did not, but they made exceptional HR people. Yeah. So sometimes you have to, when you've got a certain qualification, don't lock yourself into that qualification. Be open-minded. There's passion, there's what you have studied, and obviously there is timelines. Where are you? At what stage of your life are you? I mean, if you're still young, you can move from one to the other because you still have in your 20s, 25th, and everything be equal, and you're anticipating or to live up to 70. You still have about 35, 45 years to live. You have time. And if you're in your 40s, the rules change. If you're in the 50s, they change completely.
So 50s must not follow their passions.
They must follow their passion, but the thinking and the thoughts is different from when you are. I mean, somebody was laughing the other day, we were discussing and saying, long-term plan for a 20-year-old is 40 years.
Yeah.
Long-term plan for a 30-year-old is 30. Long-term plan for a 40s. But when you start hitting 50, it doesn't mean you have 10 years. You might find that at 55, at 50, your plans are like 5-year cycles and no longer 10, 20, 30-year cycles. So when you hit 60, your long-term plans are limited. You still have to have ambition, you still have to believe, you still have to, more especially if you're healthy, you're looking well after yourself, which is something that we forget to do. A career is a long-term thing. So you're looking at the mental aspects of yourself. You look at what is your passion, you look at your qualifications, all right, your studies, which I encourage people to do. Even after you don't study to find jobs. That's the one thing that people make, the mistake they do. They study to find jobs. You don't do that. You study for life. And
what do you mean for life?
You study for life because your studies help you. You study for as long as you can study, continue studying. As long as you can balance your life. Okay?
But that's the thing, because I'm thinking my 2000, let's see, my 2000, now they're like, no, I don't want to go to school, I want to make money. And I love what you're saying, that you don't study for a job,
Yes.
But I want you to break down what you mean when you say study for life.
You study for life because what you have studied, we've studied a lot of things that are not applicable. I mean, if you ask me about things that I studied and things that I do now, completely different. It's chocolate cheese. So therefore, if you go into the HR space and now you've got HR qualifications, you need to study those HR so that you understand better. We live in a world of change. Learning does not mean certificates at all times. It means stay current, understand what's happening. There are a number of people who are my age who are, you guys are telling us that you are born before technology. But I can promise you there are people who are my age who can actually assist youngsters with technology. That's where learning comes in. That's where lifelong learning comes in.
So we should say learning, not studying.
You should say
Because when you say studying, we are
yes.
thinking of actually enrolling into a course, or because learning could simply be reading a book,
absolutely,
or watching or listening to a podcast.
Absolutely. No,
love that.
absolutely. That's what I meant. Learning.
Mm.
Learning is key and critical. You have to learn constantly. So you've got your learning. There's mental. There's physical. You need to be healthy and ensure that, because you need to be a whole person, and you need to be balanced. And you need to make sure that your social life, your work life, your mental status, and your physical status are all in good shape most of the time. Don't neglect any aspect of the life behind it off.
Because if you are not healthy but you have all the wisdom and you are learning, you are shortening your lifespan.
Absolutely.
To apply that of which you are learning.
The last thing, absolutely, and the last thing that I wanted to say about learning, the world today has taught us that things have changed. Our dads and our granddads, they used to go into a job, and it was a job for life until they retired. Now, I would find it difficult to advise a youngster now to say, you've got a job, you've got a career, and you're going to work for somebody for the rest of your life. We need to have these qualifications. We need to go into the business and learn how business operates, and we need to be able, if you're enjoying it, if it's a space that you're comfortable in terms of your life and your purpose in life, by all means carry on. But to work for somebody until you retire shouldn't be, in your mind, shouldn't be the objective. You need to learn so that you can take that learning and you can go somewhere else, either create a job for yourself, create your own business, or create, and you never retire actually, by the way, if you did that. So the days of going into one job, one company for the rest of your life are over.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that the other day, because I've been with the organization that I'm working for 7-8 years. And for me, I think my mark was 5 years. But I think what came into that as well was, what consoled me rather, was that even though I've been in that organization for 8 years, I have been growing in different positions within that organization. Because for me, there's nothing that is frustrating than being in the same organization for years and it's still the same position that you are doing for years. So now there's no growth. There's, you just go to work and you know what to expect. There's nothing that is challenging you anymore.
It depends as well, because you do find people who are in those roles and they enjoy it. Organizations need stability. You've got stability. You don't have, not everyone is going to want to learn or want to advance. You've got a job, you are comfortable, and it depends on people. That's not something that we encourage, but that's something that happens. And there's nothing wrong with that. It depends on who you are and what you want. Some people push themselves too quick, and they advance too quick, and they get frustrated because sometimes, many parents when we have discussions, they've said that, I've taken my daughter or my son, I've asked the school to let them repeat a class. They asked, but I want them, because they are young, and being the youngest in the class and learning and so on and so forth, it's got its own advantages and disadvantages. You're stretched when you finish school. Your peers mentally, they are far lower than you are, and then you start to associate with grown-ups because the maturity level, your mental age, and so on and so forth. So to go with your pace sometimes in life is good, because you reduce the level of stress. So a 35-year-old CEO will succeed and will make a good CEO. But it's not many, let's say 30 years old rather than 35. But it's not many of them who are going to do it. when it's 35 years, and so the more experience you have, the more you have learned, the more you have been to other environments, the better for you, because you have more experience. Experience, that's why you say you can't buy experience. Experience counts. We're not saying people should, youngsters should not be in. We actually would love to have youngsters in these top positions, but make sure that you're ready. Make sure that you're ready, you've got what it takes. We don't want to break youngsters, that here's a high flyer and we push them through quickly, they get into a position, sooner or later they go into depression. That's not what we would like to do. You know? It's like in any environment. Soccer players, we've got 18-year-olds that succeed. But in the main, when they hit 20, 25, that's why they say prime is around 26, 27.
Yeah.
You know, every life stage.
Even in marriage,
everything.
you're not
exactly.
ready. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So don't relax too much. Don't push yourself unnecessarily hard. All right. But coming back to the advice in terms of the world of work. So you review your standards. You've got your own standards. You can maintain your standards. Keep your standards. Keep your qualification. Stay at home unemployed. Lower your standards a bit. Go into an entry level job. Gain experience, and you're in. And then you can, because when you start, it's like, life is like, it's like when you ride or when you drive. You start with a lower gear, and then you go through, and then you gain speed at the certain point. Yeah, life is like that. You're not going to go into an organization and then gain speed. Sometimes you have to take 2 steps backwards in order to accelerate better.
So, yeah.
And I hope people understand.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
People have gotten into positions and careers. They've moved 1 year or 2 years backwards in order to accelerate further in a different field that they believe. I've read a book, 5 Regrets of the Dying, and the writer, Ron Worry, she was in the banking industry for many years, and she decided this is not for me, and then she went into palliative care, and she got she was passionate about it. The story that she shares about her life is amazing.
Yeah.
Like palliative care and the world of banking, completely different.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's an example that I can give. Yes.
So for those that because we spoke about those that need to consider, entry level, even though you know that you are probably not going to be paid what you anticipated, But then there are those that are completely not getting any jobs.
Yes.
And I'm a fan of volunteers or volunteering. Yes. What do you think about volunteering? Does that count as well when you employ a person that you see that at least they were not just sitting at home and not doing anything, they were volunteering? Because there's a lot of companies out there that would appreciate anyone to come and say I'm volunteering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you go into an interview, there's 5 of you, and we weigh you against the job, against the culture, let's say you qualify. You need to say, what is it that is going to differ? If you've got lawyers out there, young lawyers out there, you've got young human resources people out there, you've got young architects out there, people in the advertising industry and so on and so forth. You need to say to yourself, if there's 10 of us, because when you're in any class, you're going to find there's more than 10 of you do your honors. When you leave that honors, you've got that honors degree. You're at the same level. All right? So what is it that can differentiate you from the others? Yeah. Now, shadowing somebody at work is one way of doing it. Volunteering is another way of doing it. Having done volunteer, whatever you do, look at how do I differentiate myself? How do I put myself in an advantage position? Because once you complete and you sit and you send CVs, all 10, 40 of you are doing the same thing. Yeah. There's going to be 1 or 2 positions out there. So how do you make yourself available? What else can you study over and above your degree What else can you learn over and above your degree? What else can you bring on the table to say, I've done over and above this, I've done A, B, and C, you know? So look for those opportunities and look at differentiating yourself from. You won't believe me, people are, they've got a privilege of learning and being articulate than when we started.
Yeah.
You guys are even telling us that we tell you there's an oven, you say no, there's an oven, and so on and so forth. And we get challenged all the time, you know, in our households. You know, now there are people who come from rural schools. They studied English as a subject. The rest of the subjects were done in mother tongue and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It can be more Afrikaans, more English, more Afrikaans, more Tswana, more whatever. So there are people who've been into the world of work and they've gone to study English privately, you know, so that they put themselves in a better position to be able to articulate in boardrooms and so on and so forth. You know? So you look at what is it that I can do that can help me? You know yourself.
Because sometimes it's not that you don't know the work that you do, but you can't articulate.
How do you come across?
Or communicate.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
If you have never been to an interview, go to your uncle, find out who's the HR person, do a mock interview. Let them give you a feedback. I've interviewed people, many, where I've interviewed them, I said to them, and I've given them feedback, and they say, look at this, do this, do that, do that. How do you go about the questions that they ask? You know? Yes, because sometimes, you know, people come to interviews and they think they want to impress us. We can pick it up. We want the reality, we want the truth, and also competency-based interview says, if I say, Mathieu, can you assess a person who's got a psychological problem? How do you go about it? You're going to give me the theory of what you have learned.
Yeah.
Because you know the steps that you have been taught as well. And I say to you, Mathieu, have you ever counseled somebody or assessed somebody who's got a depression? And you say yes. And I say, tell me about it. What did you do? How did you go about it? What was the end results?
Then you need to talk about what actually happened.
If you haven't been exposed to that, rather go and volunteer. Rather go and get somebody to help you to do that. Rather go for a mock interview. And those, again, I've seen people coming out of interviews and they want to kill themselves because they didn't get the job and they've been there. It's not about, and they believe that they have failed. I've heard people say, we failed the interview. Now, you don't fail the interview. You can all pass the interview, if I may use that. There's 5 of you, there's 1 position. So 4 of you are definitely not going to be employed. But they haven't failed. Sometimes we as employers, we sit, or as HR people, we sit and we say, these are 3 brilliant candidates. Which one are we going to take here? So those 2 didn't fail. It's just 1 position, or it's just the culture fit, or it's just, there are many aspects. So don't be too hard on yourself. You do the interview, you're not successful, go to the next door and knock, keep knocking.
But I think it gets so overwhelming and difficult for you as the candidate if you are continuously going to interviews and you're not chosen. So would you say, in that sense, is it still not you?
It's not only about the work environment, it's life. There are people who's got it, they've got it all, they want to get married, they don't find the right partner. It happens. So look at life like, don't look at, it's not one dimensional. You know, I always say to people, we forget to take the social life is part of our life in the work environment.
Yeah.
So look at it. What would happen in that environment? You know, who are you going to blame? And so on and so forth. You know, so look at life, you know, in broad terms. So yes, it's sometimes, it's frustrating. You go and remember in life, that's why the word luck exists. At times when you've done everything else, it's about luck. Sometimes some people are lucky, some are not so lucky. But you can't give up and you can't lose hope. And sometimes there are a number of small employers and small business out there.
Mm-hmm.
When we are graduates or when we've qualified in a certain field,
Mm-hmm.
we always want to go into big business. We go to PNET, we go to Careers Junction, we go to Careers 24, we go to Indeed, we put a CV there and we hope for the best. Find out, in the local area, local industrial area, what opportunities are there.
And I think we don't do that anymore.
What opportunities are
It
there?
was done by your age.
People
Yeah.
leave. They don't find out what is available.
Mm.
They want don't put information onto the system and hope for the best, and that somebody will come to you. Go out there and find out what is available. Go to the local industry. Find out people who are working in the local industrial area. What is it that they do? Who's hiring, who's not hiring, and so on and so forth. Can you volunteer? There are obviously laws and safety regulations.
I was about to say
that are sometimes, restrictive in terms of youngsters volunteering and so on and so forth. But there are many companies who are there. But organizations, I must be upfront, they are also, sometimes they take advantage of the leaderships, they take advantage of the youngsters, but that's where unions comes in to protect the youngsters and the people from doing that. Yes. So it's, it's the challenges are out there, but the mindset must be so broad. I talk to a lot of people, talk to your peers, talk to a lot of people, see what is it that you can change, get as much information as you can. And so we spend so much time on social media, but we spend so much time on things that are not adding value to our lives. That's what the message I give to the youngsters.
Yeah.
Find out what is it that can add value to your life. I'm not saying don't be
on social media.
I'm saying use it to your advantage. Yes.
And there's a lot of valuable information on social media.
There's a lot of valuable, and there are a lot of people who has been in the world of work who are willing to help. But I can't come to Matsi and say I want to mentor you.
Yes.
But when Matsi comes to me and say I need a mentor, because I learned from Matsi while we were in a mentoring relationship as well. And I get joy when Matsi says, I have succeeded, I've done A, B, and C. It might not even have been through your discussion, but it might have been through some other. But the fact that Matsi has now progressed and I contributed, it gives me pleasure as well. And it gives me its fulfillment. Yes. So go out there, find out who are the people who can help you, who are willing to help you. Don't struggle on your own. But it is tough. I mean, somebody listening to this interview or to this YouTube channel might say, so I wish I was close to him and was. Trust me, there are Bumbati, there are our kids, there are who are struggling themselves.
Yes.
We have all this advice and so on and so forth, but our own kids are struggling.
Because also, I guess, I always say you can get advices from everywhere, but not that advice will be valuable to you.
Exactly.
Or it might be relevant for a season that you are in your life. Yeah.
But the issue around mentorship, I've mentored quite a number of people, and I can mention more than, let's say, around 10 people that I know who have succeeded. And now with that, I can say to you that mentorship does work. And I have been mentored by other people. I know how they have helped me through my career. And with that, I can say, even in business, I mean, I'm running Success HR Solutions since 2019. All right. Now, I've never run my own business before.
Yeah.
And then you start again, all over again. You go to somebody.
Because it's a different season.
You go to somebody who's been there before you and you say, hey, how did you do that? Hey, how did you do it? How did you? So you learn all the time in life.
And you need to be actively out there asking for information.
And nobody's going to come to you and say, here's the information. You need to be active. You need to be active. it's a choice. You can choose to sit and watch TV, or you can choose to go out there and market yourself. You can choose to study, you can choose not to study. You can it's a choice. It's a choice. But think about it and say, if I need this thing badly in the next 5 years, can I get it? If I don't have it in the next 5 years from here, how will I feel about it? Will I be thankful that I did it, or will I regret that I didn't do it?
Yeah.
You know. So at the early age, I would say, and the difficulty is that at a young age, this is where life happens. You want to live, you want to, you've got energy, you want to do all things that the youngsters do. But that's the age where you should be investing in yourself, because once you've got that, I mean, wouldn't you be envious for a 25-year-old or 30-year-old who's got a degree or a doctorate already? They're going to be a doctor for the rest of their lives, you know. Rather than you wait, you do what people do at that age, and then at 40, 45, only then you start to do. It depends, there are pros and cons, but my advice would be invest in yourself while you're still young, and then the rest
While you still have the image and the time,
it's going to pay off, yes.
because life changes and there are a lot of dynamics, priorities change.
And even when you're sitting at home unemployed, don't just sit. When they say to you in the past 5 years that you have been unemployed, what have you been doing? It can't be that you've just been sitting at home. It doesn't sound right. It didn't sound right for anyone in the interview, you know. And there are a lot of things that you can do, you know, without cost, by the way.
Yeah.
Because you always sometimes, yes, things are costly, but sometimes we make excuses. We don't push ourselves. Yes.
So now for us that are already working, because I mean, I'm sure there's never a person that has ever said, I'm happy with the salary that I'm earning. You know, you're always looking for more money. So what would you say, how do you negotiate for salary increase? And how do you make yourself to qualify for a salary increment at a workplace? And I'm not talking about your annual increment.
That's a loaded question. Yes, it's how do you get yourself? How do you get an increase in a workspace? There are many ways in which you do that. You can wait for the annual increase every year that the employer gives you,
which is never enough.
Which is never enough, and you might not be happy with that. You can do something about where you are. If you're in a call center and you study and you do something and you go into supervision and you go to this, that's how you increase, by moving your career. But moving your career, look at, if I'm at this level, what is it required for me to go to the next level? What is the entry level if I'm a contact center agent to go into supervisory level? Do they need a degree? Do they need a diploma? Do they need what experience? Do whatever it takes. Once you get into supervision, say, what is it that is required to go into management? And as you progress, then you increase your salary. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is, you just work hard. When you do performance appraisals all the time, every time, you get better incentives because you outperform your peers. Other way of looking at it, you move companies. If employers are not going to like this. But when you wait for a 6-7% increase every year, in one organization, and somebody moves to another organization, they can move 30-40%, 20 between 20 and 30% increase every time they move. Okay, don't there are people who job hop. But you don't job hop, but you look at, this is where I am now after 5-6 years. And I think if I stay in this organization for so many years, I'm not going to go far. Rather let me go to another organization and I can get a jump in salary.
So what is the longest time of being in an organization? When you say a person is job hopping, like what is the minimum time and what is the longest time of being in one organization?
If you tell me that you're an HR manager and you have been in a business for 2 years, I will ask you, what have you achieved in the 2 years as an HR manager?
Okay.
Now you can answer that question yourself, and then that will give you. an answer to say,
Your job hopping or not.
was I at the stage where I could move or not? Depends, what have you achieved? Because you need to set yourself goal. What have I achieved in this organization that I believe there's no more growth and I need to go somewhere else?
Okay.
Yeah, that's how you look at it. Also, you look at, it depends on the type of, if you're a sales assistant and you work for 6 months and you go to another organization, it's different from when you're a manager, you work 6 months and you go to another organization. Yes. So everything that you know, when you come to the world of work, we always say it depends. It depends. You know,
Okay.
when you work in a multinational organization and you're working on big projects, some projects are 5 to 10 years life. Before you complete that project in 5 years or in 10 years, you haven't achieved that, and you need to get your own fulfillment. So it'll be 10 years. You know, for some it might be 2 years, for some it might be 10 years. For some, it depends on what you're doing. And yeah. And the other way, obviously, is you join unions and then you negotiate and you go on strike and then you get your salary increases. But yeah, it's about the career. It's about your career move. It's about your career move within the organization. Depending on, sometimes situations forces you to leave an organization. You do a company is headquartered in another country or in another province. Your personal situation doesn't allow you to do that. You've done what you have to do for the regional position, and maybe you need to move to another company that offers you that. So you always look at these things. And by the way, the issue around mentorship, coaching, role modeling, and when you interact with these people, there's another element to it: networking.
Yes.
Networking. Now, on social media, we've got followers, we follow others, we network. But we network in cyberspace. We network with people we don't know. Make sure that you network with people who you know. Trust me, there was an article that we circulated where we say people are not hired in interviews or in boardroom. People are hired in a golf course.
Yeah.
Business is concluded in a golf course. People are fired elsewhere. It's just formalized. I'm quoting somebody else who said that. I can't remember the name now, but I'm quoting somebody else who said look at it that way. All right. So networking is key and critical. When you talk to people and you engage with people and you talk about the key things and they know who you are, one day a person might be sitting there and looking for a person with a certain skill, and they will remember that, but I once spoke to so and so. And so try to network as much as you can, and never ever, what is the word? Make sure that you protect your networks and you protect relationships with people, because you never know when you're gonna
Need them.
There are arrogant people out there who believes that, you know what, I don't care, this company is, I don't need you, I don't need. Trust me, at some stage in your work, you are going to need those people.
That was deep.
Exactly. That's
if you know what that means.
You say yes. So make sure that you make it difficult. Have such an attitude that you make it difficult for people to say no to you. When you make requests at work, you want to go to a course, you want to study, the company has to pay for it. Attitude is key and critical in every aspect of life. Make sure that you make it difficult for people to say no to you, to your requests. Yeah.
I think with me, I'm struggling with networking. It's very difficult for me to go to a stranger and say, I like what you do. Would you mind if we connect? Or like, I'm trying to get out of that shock, but I struggle with that a lot.
I didn't want to talk about myself. I was a keynote speaker in one of the conferences somewhere in Cape Town, and I finished the discussion, and then we went to tea. I had my colleagues, we had other commitments there, and as I was leaving for my next appointment and we were rushing, a lady came running after me, and she stopped me. And she said, you just finished the presentation. Yes, my card. Can I have your card? Can you be my mentor? Since we will talk. Okay? That was in 2006. We're still talking. She's actually gone through the She was an HR manager. She ended up being an HR director from a very big organization, multinational organization outside of South Africa, and she's running her own business now.
Sure.
So if you really want it, you will know how to do it, Matthew. You find somebody, you go to them, you say, please. No one is going to say no. People who's been there, people who give presentations, people who are doing well, trust me, they want to see others succeed.
Okay. Because I think you answered my question, because I was going to make a follow-up question to say, but if I run to you and give you my card and you give me your card, we exchange cards, how do I then know that you're not really interested in mentoring people?
You can exchange card and say we will talk, but make sure that you follow up and you talk and you find that you ask them to make time for you. That first meeting is key and critical.
Okay.
Yeah. No, people like helping. If you come to me and you say borrow me 100 rand, that's help. But that's the easiest question I don't have. If you come to me and say, I'm struggling at work, can I have 30 minutes of your time on such and such a date? Here's my issue. This is what I believe I need to do. What is your advice? Completely different. Very few people would say no to that.
Yeah.
And obviously, you don't go to unsuccessful people to ask for mentorship and advice. So you always go to successful people. And successful people have been there. They know. They get passionate. They're passionate about it. They will develop. They know how to develop others.
And they know the importance of development.
I said, if you're unemployed and you're sitting at home, you're not going. The world is not going to come to you. Go out there, find these people, and ask them for help.
I wonder how long we've been talking, because I can talk and talk with you.
You're going to have to I can see that it's going,
Yeah. But I think maybe in closing, tell us more about Success HR Solutions.
Right, Success HR Solutions. When I was still employed and at a certain level, I decided I needed to do my own business. I went out. I was doing work for some small company, did my own thing, but I wasn't getting fulfillment because I would do a certain type of work, you get paid, you go to another organization, and that was not for me.
So it was consultation.
I was always attracted back into the corporate world. And then in 2019, I was in a situation where I said, you know what, this is time for me to do this thing. The situation was right. And I started. And I started a business. It's an HR consulting and outsourcing. We do very little recruitment. I have people who are partners.
Okay.
The model is so different and it's so interesting. I don't like doing sharing disciplinary inquiries and so.
Okay.
But my business does that. And there's a partner who does it. I know how to do it. I can do it. But if I were to do something else, I would. So I've got a partner who specializes and has passion for that.
Disciplinary.
Yes. So you work. We have that person. Yeah. We are now we are a generalist HR consulting firm. We're doing remuneration and benefit organization development. We're doing employee engagement. We're doing change management. We're doing training. We're doing coaching and mentoring for different organizations. There is another a startup company where we started with them. They've got an HR person, but they can't afford to employ a person at an executive level. But they need somebody who can advise them at that level. So you consult for them and then you give them advice at that level that they need.
Okay.
So there's medium-sized organizations. There are big organizations who do not have the capacity to do certain things. There are big organizations who don't have the specialization to do certain things. So that's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is growing. It started slow. It's growing. There is work out there. You need to market yourself. But the challenge is the challenge in the industry when you're on your own and you're consulting, like if you're in communications, if you're in manufacturing, whatever it is, you need to maintain professional standards. You need to deliver on time.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you are credible. You need to have integrity and in terms of what you do, and you need to make sure that the product, whether the product or the service that you deliver, that's what's going to market yourself. You can go to all media channels and market yourself. If you can't deliver one professional product that will satisfy your first client, your company is gone. So you need to be able to,
because
you set your standards high, and you don't take shortcuts. And that's what's going to market you. So Success HR Solutions operate in those principles.
And they do say that you are as good as your last job,
You're as good as your last job. But you need to find your niche. You need to find something that you're passionate about. You need to find something that enjoy doing. And something that you enjoy doing doesn't mean 100% of the time. There's going to be 20-30% of the time where you're doing something that you don't like doing. I find some people I was mentoring some youngsters in business, and they were complaining that they find themselves answering phones and doing marketing and doing that and doing that. And I said to them, but that's the nature of small business. If you haven't got the resources, you can employ people to do that for you, but you need to pay them. But if you can't, I mean, why is it difficult for you to answer your own phone? Why is it difficult?
Because I think when you start businesses, you focus more because you've got the vision. But now we focus more on the end goal. We forget about the process of getting to the end goal.
You've summed it up. Somebody was saying the other day, small businesses, are we creating jobs for ourselves or are we creating business? Now, in most cases, you create a job for yourself first. And as you grow, then you start to employ people to do the job for you. Unless, of course, if you're selling a product, you buy, you sell, you need people to sell, that's easy. If you manufacture, you can do that, might be different. If you're in if you're in the industry, in services, or professional environment, I mean, you're either going to do your legal job yourself as an advocate, or you're going to do auditing yourself as a chartered accountant, or you're going to do your HROD and like change management work on yourself. And at some stage, once you've established your business, then you will employ people. Then you can, only then would you feel that now I'm running a business. But it depends at what stage you start. Because if you've got funding out there and you've got the resources, of course, by all means, you can go from being employed into a business. But the transition is to go into creating a job for yourself before you go into a business. And we forget it at stage. And people are ambitious. They think, I'm self-employed, therefore I need to have this type of a car, this type of an office, I need to have these people. It doesn't necessarily work like that all the time. And the other thing that aspiring small businesses, small business-minded people out there should be aware of, when you are employed, you can have a start time and a knock-off time, and you get paid. Your pay is guaranteed. You depend on it. When you work for yourself, it's a completely different story.
There's no knock-off time.
There's no knock-off time. You have to be disciplined, but there's no knock-off time. And if you don't wake up and go to work, work will wait for you to come and do it.
So
yes,
you can't delegate.
It depends what model you have. If you've got partners working with you, you can ask them to do certain things for you. But half the time. But then obviously whatever they do for you, that's money out of your business to them. Nobody's going to do your business
for free.
Nobody. So it is hard work.
Yeah.
So, but it's whether you're self-employed, whether you're employed by somebody, whether you're unemployed, when the sun rises, we all have to be waking up, and we all have to
Do something with your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on who's paying us.
Yeah.
Either we're paying for ourselves or somebody's paying for us. But you have to work. So work is not the debate when is work a privilege, is work a right, or is work a choice?
It's a choice.
You can say it's a choice. But then if we all had resources to live by, what would happen, let's see? We still had to work. Because the world will come into decay and we'll all perish. So work is a given. Whether you're paid, you're not paid. You work for yourself, you don't work for yourself. We have to work.
Yeah.
We all have to work.
One way or the other.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
Otherwise life stops.
Yeah. Okay. So where can people find HR solutions? Success HR solutions.
Success HR solutions on the website www.successHRsolutions.co.za.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Are you on social media? I challenged you last day to start social media pages.
We are getting to social media. We will be getting into social media in the next few weeks. We are there, but we haven't been active.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So guys, social media will be there in the next few weeks. We'll give you end of March.
Absolutely.
I'm just being, generous. End of March.
We will be in social media.
Because I feel there's so much work that you are doing that needs to be put out there, and social media is it's a big platform.
Yes.
And also you've got a lot of knowledge and wisdom that you can share with a lot of people. So if you're not on social media, it's only us that will know about the work that
Thank you for that. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for challenging me.
Yeah.
And you see, we learn from others. But I promise you, we are going to go into social media. The reason we have been slow to do that is you establish yourself, you know exactly what you're doing, so that you go out there to people and you say, this is what I'm doing. And you definitely show you know what.
Yeah.
And also, you need to have the capacity to handle what you do. There's no point in going to social media and you haven't established yourself yet. If people ask you what type of business you're in, you're not sure yet.
Yeah.
You're in social media and then there's a huge demand and you can't deliver.
Yeah.
There's no quicker way of bringing your business down than not being available and able to deliver when you're required to.
Yeah.
So
okay. So for now we will then put your website link on the description below. We'll share, and then if people want to visit Success HR Solutions, they will click on the link below at the description.
They will be on the website, and they can also be on this info@successHRsolutions.co.za. That's the email address.
Okay.
And they will reach us, and we respond to every single email that we receive.
Then mentorship. Are you open for mentorship? What is the requirement?
We're open for mentorship. We can't mentor everybody in every space. We're not. We specialize in certain fields. It depends on what people need in terms of mentorship. They can contact us on info@successHRsolutions and let us know. If we can, we will do that. If we can't, we will refer them to. We'll give them direction.
Okay.
But we'll definitely respond and give them direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it a paid service?
Mentorship is not a paid service. Let's put it that way. I paused there because I needed to qualify that. We do mentorship and coaching for organizations, where organizations come and say, we've got a certain number of managers
Okay.
that we would like to mentor and to coach. That's they would pay
You
for
charge
that
for that,
service, we
yeah.
charge for that. There are individuals who would come and say, I need 1 or 2 sessions with you, and so on and so forth. And I
With
need
you
your help
as Jeremy.
as Jeremy,
Yes.
and then we would assist them.
Okay.
Obviously, when we have capacity.
Okay.
I'm a member of the South African Board for Personal Practice, so they sometimes go out there and call for mentors to help. We do help in terms of the rules and terms and conditions. There's a national mentorship movement, which is a global movement that I'm a member of. The people go there and they get matched, the mentees get matched with us,
Okay.
and we help them.
Okay.
So there are different platforms and different ways of doing it.
Okay.
That's why I posted when you asked this.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But I have a number of youngsters that I'm helping.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm willing to help.
So if they want to get hold of you as Jeremy Molefe, do they still go to info?
Yes, they
your
go
email
to
address?
info,
Okay.
and then they just let me know what is it that they require, and then we will respond to their emails. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think, in closing, thank you for watching. I know it's a long video, but like I said, when I'm sitting with, like I call him Malumi Jerry, we speak for hours and hours. I forget that I'm recording. But I'm going to challenge you. What would be your parting words to our viewers? Any words of wisdom or anything that you want to officially close this video with?
Thanks for that opportunity, Matthew. Coming from the HR space and talking to people and talking about social life and so on and so forth, there is a lot that's going out there in the social space. There is a lot that's going on in the country. People, are like, they despair. Do not lose hope. Never ever lose hope. I always say to people, be like if you watch the Titanic, there was the ensemble, the band that kept playing when the ship was sinking, and they kept playing, they kept everyone going. They were sinking themselves. Be in that space where, in the midst of everything else that's happening, we know crime is happening, we know load shedding is happening, we know everything else that's happening, but you've got your own space and you need to focus. That's where you are, the band. Carry on, do what you have to do. Do what you have to do and never lose hope. Things change, nothing stays the same forever. That's the final.
I'm not gonna say anything, it's done. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Until next time, goodbye.
Thank you.